Morning guys, this is Andy, the expedition hiker. So today we're out on another walk, and this one we are in a place called Bottesford, as it says on the sign behind me. So we're starting at the train station. Now Bottesford is just outside of Nottinghamshire, so we're now in North Leicestershire. So today we're on an 11.5 mile circular walk, and we're going to go on a walk around the Vale of Belvoir, or Beaver, or Belvoir. I'm sure we'll find out at some point today how it's pronounced. So the plan is to walk up to Belvoir Castle, Beaver Belvoir, and we're going to pass the Grantham Canal along the way, and then we're going to go past Redmile. So at some point today we're actually going to cross into Lincolnshire and then back into Leicestershire. And once we get up onto the ridge where Belvoir Castle is, Belvoir, we should hopefully be able to see Nottinghamshire as well. So we'll be able to see 3 counties from where we'll be. So let's get cracking. If you like hiking, backpacking and long distance walking, and like to learn some tips and skills on the great outdoors, as well as download some routes for yourself, then please consider subscribing. Well, we've just reached our first summit point of the day, although I'm not sure where, because it actually looks like a flat field. But we're actually 35 metres above sea level. That was a hard summit to climb. So we're just walking towards Muston now, and then we're going to head up towards the Grantham Canal. So I've just bought some bobs to help with my videos. So we've bought a better microphone, so we've bought a Rode directional microphone. So I'm finding the cable to the road, well, basically not long enough. It's coiled, but it's not very forgiving. It keeps tilting the camera. On top of that, we bought a couple of new tripods, so hopefully with all this little bits of extra we can improve the quality of our videos. The next thing I need to do is build the content better, and hopefully you're enjoying it so far. We're in Easthorpe, so we're going to cross the A52 and then continue along this track, and that will get us eventually into Muston, and about probably just over a kilometre and a half away. Interesting tree, a massive vase with just seem to be branches hanging out of it, dead branches. How peculiar. Although we're getting a bit noisy now, just get our first sight of the castle up on the horizon. It's what we're eventually heading towards. So we're just passing through the hamlet of Muston, famous for its meadows and in particular the abundance of green-winged orchids found in the summer months. The poet George Crabbe resided in Muston back in the 1780s. Quite an ornate castle indeed. I believe it's derived to look like Windsor Castle. We've just arrived at Brook Mill. This is an ancient mill, although it's very secure now. Big gates. Now, I'm not sure what these things are in the middle of the screen. These black, like T, 3 of them along the driveway. I don't know if there's something to do with the mill, but it's all secure here now. There's cameras galore, big iron fence. The mill was well gone. The mill was actually there from the 14th century and eventually was disused and demolished in 1956. I'm still not sure what these things are in front. They do look like the type of thing you would see at an airfield. If anybody knows, please tell me. So they know the usual answers on the postcard, or add them to the comments. We're going to head along the National Cycle Network, and this is Route 15. And this will take us down to the Grafton Canal. We've just reached the Grantham Canal, which runs 53 kilometres from West Ridgeford in Nottinghamshire to Grantham in Lincolnshire. Opened in 1793 to transport coal, where eventually it was sold to the railway company, and then the use of the rail was faster and better than the canal for transport, so the canal went into decline until it became closed to boats in 1936. Today you can walk along the old towpath, and sections of the path are being opened as part of the National Cycle Path. The Grantham Canal Society are in the process of reopening the canal to small boats. At present, 2 sections are available to use for leisure water activities. Other parts of the canal have become nature reserves. Here once stood a medieval village with its moated manor, including earthworks of crofts, a platform, hollow way and bridge of earthworks. Lock House, a small built brick house next to Lock 13 on the Grantham Canal. The house is likely to date to around the late 18th century, built to house a canal lockkeeper, but as the canal is now disused, there is no use for the house, so it has become a derelict ruin of the past. As we continue along the towpath of the Grantham Canal, we've just crossed the border and now we're in the county of Lincolnshire. We're only going to be in Lincolnshire for about 2 kilometres. Then we're going to cross back into North Leicestershire and back into the Vale of Belvoir. Belvoir. Beaver. Hopefully once we get to the castle we'll be able to find out how you pronounce this properly. Not exactly roadkill, but it seems a bird must have flown into this tree and died. Quite a big bird because that's just its wing. So I don't know if it's an owl or a bird of prey. So I just noticed this amongst the trees as I was walking by. I believe it's it looks like a 2, like a cast iron 2. By the side of it, a little bit more difficult to see, but a 0. Not sure why it's here or what it's for, because it's middle of nowhere. So it's a bit of a pity as we get towards the castle, the heavens have opened, making it a bit misty, so we can't actually get a good clear view of the castle. There's also an area for a lot of walkers, as you can see by all the cars. Hopefully when we get up there the rain may have stopped and we might get a view of the landscape. Vale of Belvoir. So we're just passing the old hunt stables, which is the Belvoir stables or Beaver stables. Looks like they've been renovated and now apartments. Just arrived in Easthorpe by Belvoir. Dating back to the Domesday Book, 1086, this small hamlet of Anglo-Saxon origin was called Ullsteinsthorpe, or let's try that again, Ullsteinsthorpe, or I'll just put it up on the screen. Also, Roman coins have been found in the surrounding fields. Next stop is Belvoir, and the castle. Bit of a muddy lane for a cat. We're reaching the castle. We'll be nearly there. And as you can see, it does have a resemblance to Windsor Castle. Just looking back, you can see the changing landscape as autumn takes over. The trees all losing the leaves. In times gone by, they used to do a big hunt from here. Obviously, don't do that anymore due to fox hunting is banned. But if you're just about here, I can just about class it. You probably catch more of the wind. And there's hounds barking, and lots of them down in that direction. So we're taking a little bit of a shortcut. Well, this bit is marked on the map as a footpath, but it slowly turns into a track. And I've got a feeling the track has got part of the castle estates. So let's hope I don't come across anybody before we get to the actual castle. So these are the old buildings to the castle. I presume there may have been some old stables and farm buildings. Yes, as I was correct, this is a stables area. There's where the horses used to walk around. I'm guessing if we look right, we'll be able to see the castle. Obviously the castle overlooking its stables. So the buildings in front of us was the old, the film in the 1980s, A Little Lord Fauntleroy. That's the area they used as the servants used to live. So I think I'm actually in the castle grounds now, hopefully, because funny enough it's actually £10 to just walk around the grounds. You can't go in the castle at the moment, obviously we're in lockdown of COVID. If I can get to have a quick glimpse around the grounds, that would be great, and I'll take you up to the top as well if possible. Actually getting to the castle a bit closer than I thought I would be able to. As far as I'm aware, the Duke of Rutland is at home because the flag's flying. I'm sure it's his coat of arms or whatever. Usually when the flag's flying and somebody's at home, Well, if he's in lockdown, I presume he's got to be home like everybody else. Fortunately, he's got a little bit further to walk around in his home than most people. And it's starting to become a bit of like a reconnaissance mission. I'm actually going to be near enough at the doors to the castle, so hopefully there's nobody about. Well, for a castle that's closed to the public due to lockdown and COVID, I think I got quite close to it. So looking down from where we looked up, so there's the stables where we were earlier, and looking across the landscape, this is actually Lincolnshire. And then looking across there, there's a busy road over there. I believe that's the A1. Also is Grantham, is 10 kilometres away. And that's where my father was born. Also Margaret Thatcher was born there as well. So we're in North Leicestershire now, but we're looking over Lincolnshire. And Lincolnshire's quite renowned for being quite flat. Although there's a little hill there, and I'm guessing Grantham is just behind that hill. Just see the rows of, now I'm not sure which one it is, so it's either the House of Lancaster or the House of York. Here's the doorbell. You pull the handle to make it ring. I'm sure there'll be half a dozen servants running when you ring the bell. And here's the transport for the Duke of Rutland. I'm sure they've got a better piece of transport, although I'm guessing the upkeep on this place must be quite expensive. Maybe they've got to cycle around. Just noticing by the side of the bicycles, there's a lot of fuel cans there. Belvoir Castle stands at 138 metres above sea level and overlooking the Belvoir Valley. The castle dates back to the Norman times, as it was first built in 1067 and is the ancestry home of the Duke of Rutland. The castle has been used as a film and TV location on several occasions. Films like Little Lord Fauntleroy back in 1980, The Golden Bowl in 2000. The exterior of the building was used in the Da Vinci Code from 2006, Young Queen Elizabeth in 2010. Afterwards was Victoria and Abdul, filmed in 2017, and the castle, having a resemblance to Windsor Castle, is being used currently as the famous Netflix drama series of The Crown. So overall, Beaver Castle has been used as a royal resident location on several films through the past. Although written as Belvoir, it is pronounced as Beaver, which means beautiful view in French. There has been 3 other castles on this site before the present building was built. So now we actually know. I have been saying it wrong all day. It's not Belvoir or Belvoir, it is Beaver. Looking over the battlements from the North Terrace, you can see for miles over the counties of Nottinghamshire, Leicestershire and Lincolnshire, making this fortified castle the ideal location. On a clear day, you can even see Lincoln Cathedral, which is about 30 miles away, although it's not a very clear day today. Beaver Castle was a gift from William the Conqueror to Robert de Dottini. Robert was the standard bearer for the Battle of Hastings of 1066. Robert began to build the first castle in 1067, a Motte and Bailey timber frame design. Tardini also built a priory at the foot of the hill, which he was laid to rest after dying in 1088. After 1454 and the War of the Roses, the castle was near enough in ruins. The War of the Roses, 1455 to 1487, was the civil wars of the House of Lancaster and the House of York in the fight to gain control of the throne of England. In 1520, the castle was rebuilt as a noble medieval castle for Sir Thomas Manners. Part of the second castle rebuild can be seen today within the courtyard, but by the 1640s, the castle was destroyed by parliamentarians after the royalists seized the castle during the English Civil War of 1642 to 1651. The third structure on the site came in 1668, but this time built for the wife of the 8th Earl, the Countess Frances, as a palatial house not to resemble a castle. James Wyatt designed the 4th castle, the one we see today. Wyatt became famous after improving Windsor Castle. This castle of splendour was built between 1801 to 1832 for the 5th Duke of Rutland, John Henry. Wife of John, Elizabeth was daughter to the Earl of Carlisle, who lived in the lavish ancestry home of Castle Howard in Yorkshire. As the fourth Beaver Castle was built, Elizabeth added a similar lavish presence to the castle, inside and out, to create her dream home. The gardens were landscaped by the famous Capability Brown. The castle today stands as one of the best remaining Regency castles in the country. We've conquered the castle. Right, next we're off to Redmile. St Peter's Church, Redmile. That's what's in front of us. Built in the 12th century, it had several renovations and extensions over the past 800 years. In the graveyard are the Beaver Angels, 3 gravestones that date back to the 17th century, made of Swiftland slate, one of which dates back to 1690, making it the oldest gravestone in the Vale. Within Redmile is one pub, the Windmill Inn. Redmile is also famous for a TV location. Quite a few scenes of Vives in Bet being filmed here in the 1980s. This TV series was about a group of 7 British migrant construction workers, where they used the Windmill Inn as the barley mow for the TV series. As we walk through the village of Bottesford, we see the spire of St Mary's the Virgin, or Lady of the Vale, and Bottesford Rectory, the old rectory. I'm going to walk through the old village now, towards the church. Well, this is something I didn't expect to see as I was walking into Bottesford, this cottage. If you look closely in all the windows, there's some weird teddy bears looking at you. The scariest one is the front bay window. As we just crossed the little bridge to get to the church, we see the River Devon. This quiet little village sits by the A52. The name Bottesford means ford belonging to the bottle, which means house. The village was built around the River Devon back in the 12th century. In the centre is the St Mary's the Virgin Church, which is also known as Lady of the Vale, as we see in front. Joan, Margaret and Philippa Flowers were known to be local healers. They were employed by the Earl of Rutland as servants of the castle. Some of the staff of the castle didn't like the girls, and they were all accused of theft in 1613, which they were dismissed from their positions at the castle. Shortly later, the Earl and Countess became violently ill, suffered with convulsions and vomiting. Their 2 sons died of the illness, and meaning that the Earl now had no heir to the title of Duke of Rutland, so after him it was passed to the Earl's brother. 5 years afterwards, the Flower Girls were arrested for witchcraft, for the illnesses the Earl and his family suffered. One of their daughters, Margaret, admitted stealing a glove 5 years ago from Lord Ross, son of the Earl, and gave it to her mother, Joan. She then dipped the glove in boiling water and stroked the glove along the back of the family's black cat, Rutikit. Then they created a spell to Lord Ross for him to fall ill and die, in which he eventually did. Joan and her daughters were accused and charged as witches, where they were found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging in 1619 at Lincoln Castle. Earlier we talked about a grave at Redmile that was meant to be the oldest in the Vale at 1690, but just noticing this one, at the bottom it says 1669, so this gravestone is older than the one at Redmile. So in front is the Duke of Rutland almhouses, which was also a bead house or hospital, started in 1591 by Elizabeth, 4th Countess of Rutland, as a home for elderly village men. The residents, known as the Bedesmen, had to follow strict rules of conduct and wear their uniform to attend church regularly. The bead house has been converted to retirement apartments. So we're inside the church of St Mary's the Virgin in Bottesford. Quite. Well, I've just seen some people walk in to this end of the church, so hopefully I'm allowed in, otherwise we could be exited any moment. This one is one of the Earls of Rutland. So this is John, 4th Earl, 1588, and Countess Elizabeth. So this is the 8th Earl of Rutland, John Manners, and I believe his wife, the Countess. All three of these are the Earl's children that died due to sorcery and witchcraft. One is Henry, one is Lord Ross, and the other one is, I believe, Francis. And they were all the children of the Earl to pass away. And after that, the Earl had no heir to take the title of Duke of Rutland, so it was passed to his brother from then. Anyway, we're heading out of here now, and we're going to head towards the end point, which is back to the train station. So is this the cat of the witches? Now I'm guessing a black cat of the witches would live for hundreds of years. So is this a Russikin, the cat that caused the death of Lord Ross of sorcery and witchcraft? Well, I just had a bit of a weird experience. I just walked away from the black cat who I thought was the witchcraft cat, and then all of a sudden suddenly a voice was heard. It sounded like somebody was singing Pharaoh Jacques several times, and then when I stopped to listen to it, it just disappeared. And we're near houses. As we have Bottesford Church in the background, we're just arriving back at the train station at Bottesford, so it's the end of the walk. A nice 11.5 mile walk. So hopefully you've enjoyed the route of today. Would have been better if it had a little bit better weather, but it's been okay overall. So if you've liked the route and you haven't subscribed, then please do. And like usual, stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye hikers.